Hello, today we're looking at this 2-pack of FRS radios in the box. Got our instruction manual, our applicable information, some important frequencies and stuff, all good to have. Got the little inexpensive headsets that are typically included with these kinds of radios. They're usually fine, but they're not for me. And we have the radios themselves. I've already charged them up and put the batteries in, but the batteries did come separate. And you get a couple of charging cords, you get the belt clip connectors if you like to use those, individual charging brick per radio, which is nice, and the radio itself. Build quality seems really pretty nice on these overall. Of course, you have your permanent antenna. You do get a flashlight. Got a simple volume and power knob combo on the top there. Hold this button to go to weather.
Chance of rain 70%. Sunday, mostly sunny. A slight chance of showers in the morning, then a chance of showers with a slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Highs in the upper 70s. Chance of rain 50%. Sunday night,
So, weather works good. No issues with that, and we're in the basement, so signal's not necessarily going to be that good. Have your push to talk and menu. Hold this to lock the keypad, then you can't accidentally do too many accidental functions. Hold it again to turn it off, and other functions as described in the manual. Of course, the main one is talking, changing channels here, and that sort of thing. It'll give you an indicator. You get to the lower powered channels, it'll automatically switch that. So, pretty nice overall. We will give these a range test and maybe try them with a couple of other models and see how they do. But fit, finish, and feel, I gotta say, I definitely like these in that regard. So, have high hopes for the range test. We'll see what we think. Alright, we are on the trail. Gonna make our way up to the historic fire tower. Got a backpack full of radios to test, and we're gonna see if we can do some of that testing. Just a few steps, no big deal. Alright, almost there. Just the last few steps. Slightly winded. Let's see if all the climbing is worth the effort. In the background. But yeah, we're a little ways up. 100-foot tower. And we need to go that direction. So I'll set up the camera and get that going. Try a GMRS radio first and see if we can get over there. W2 radio test, back to base. Yeah, it sounds really good. I have the volume down a little bit, but this is, of course, the GMRS radio, so it's the most powerful radio that we brought up here, and it's coming through good, you say?
Yeah, it sounds perfectly clear.
Well, that's a really good start. We hope the power radio would do a good job. I'm going to move on and grab the orange one here. Stand by. So the UV5G reaches 2.5 miles home, no problem. Now we're going to try the BTEC FRS radio running 2 watts on channel 15. Radio test, radio test. This is the orange BTEC radio from the fire tower, trying to get back home. You're a little bit more static on this end. I don't hear any clicking or tapping, but it could be interference from my phone. I should probably move that a little further away, or the GoPro, which is recording, but you're able to hear me well?
Yes, I do have some static as well. If you give me a second here, I can pull out my camera and maybe record the sound if you send me back a transmission.
You're actually coming through pretty good here. All of a sudden, that's better, and just a little bit of background static, not too bad at all. So I'd say this is a success. I'm ready to move on to the other black radio there if you are.
Yeah, we can move on to the other one. I don't know if you moved your phone when you did that. The clicking was a little quieter, but I did record it, so we'll see if it shows up or not.
Sounds good, sounds good. I've switched over to the black Kalishnan branded radio here, holding it up to the window and trying to make the same trip. It's the same type of radio with the same wattage as the BTEC, so hopefully we're going to get a good result.
Yeah, this one was okay. A little static also. Things clicking oddly enough, so maybe try again. Don't change anything.
The same clicking, you say. It could be the GoPro going back to the phone. I have the preview on, so there's Wi-Fi bouncing around in here and the other two radios on as well, but they shouldn't be causing too much interference when receiving, and still no clicking here, so let's see what it sounded like to you now.
Pretty much the same, maybe slightly fainter clicking. I don't know.
Alright, if you can stand by for just a moment, I think I'm going to try to get this radio to reach your orange radio. Give me 1 minute to change the channel quick. Gotta unlock it. So I've done that. Okay, and they were on 15. Oops. That's not. There's the channel change. Alright. Interference, you got to turn off the other radio if you're going to transmit 12 inches away from it, just doing things in a hurry here. So we're trying to go from my black Kalishnan radio to your orange BTEC. How's that working out?
Works great, I can hear you. On cutting out just a little bit on and off. I don't know if that's because you're handling a bunch of radios and just locked the button a little bit, but I'm getting you on the radio tonight. Clicking before.
Yeah, I've noticed depending on where I hold my hand in relation to the window pane, I get some interference, and these are metal lined, like the windows are framed up with metal, so I'm in a metal tower surrounded by metal and punching through glass, so that's noteworthy that's working that good. So we have cross radio compatibility as we'd expect between these two brands. I'm going to try to reach that same radio, orange one you're holding, with the UV5G now. If it works. Alright, on the BTEC now, which is transmitting wideband, but maybe the orange one's still receiving it. Are you there?
Yep, the orange one is totally good. It's clicking.
No, there's just some kind of interference. It's probably over on your end then if I'm not getting it here, but that's okay. So there is some interop between GMRS and FRS, even though the wideband, narrowband is a technical issue. Good to know though. I think that's about all I wanted to test. Alright, some final thoughts on the Kalishnan. I genuinely do not know how to pronounce this brand name. But the final thoughts on these FRS radios here, this 2-radio kit. I actually like these. I think these have a great fit, feel in the hand. They seem to be built well, very sturdy, good speaker and simple controls. These are a little bit less expensive. Well, they're close to half the price of a different set that we have, and I think that's both a good and a bad thing, because these radios, as far as doing their core job of transmitting from one radio to another, they work every bit as good as any of the other radios that I have or that I've tried. The other FRS radios that I've tried, no difference in range or clarity that I could really discern. They do the core task of talking between radios, no issues. They talk to other brands of radios. They work with GMRS radios if you are licensed for that, but no license is required for these since they're FRS. And they made good range, 2.5 miles, just as easy as any of the other ones. There's a few maybe cost-saving measures. This one doesn't have FM radio, and honestly, I can do without that on my radios. That's often a feature that's thrown in, but I don't really see it as being a big draw or a necessity. The menu on this one over others is functional, but maybe a little less clear. You definitely need to refer to your manual to know what some of the menus are actually for. There isn't as much room on the screen of this model to give descriptions. Not that other radios are particularly descriptive, like the Baofeng menus. They can be kind of nebulous as well, but for the most part, there's room for a few more characters, a little better explanation, and in some cases, TDR doesn't mean anything to most people. You just would have to memorize that means dual watch, so it's kind of the same with this one, but you'd be following a different convention. Otherwise, a lot of your core features are there. You can scan, you have the weather, you have Vox, you have the flashlight. These buttons aren't labeled, so you definitely need to read the manual to find out that the top button does the flashlight, and then you press it again, and it does that for some reason, and press it again to turn it off. It's a little awkward, but I don't know, I just kind of ignore it, go around that. The fact that the backlight is only on one side, it's minor, it's completely functional. I think what matters is that the core functionality, these radios are inexpensive, they are pretty easy to use, they talk just as good as any of the other radios I've tried at the same distances, so as far as being a two-way radio, they do very well, and I like the way that they're built and the fit and finish of them. I think they're a good set, especially at the last price point that I saw them at, but really at any price point, you can't really go terribly wrong with this radio. It'll work with other ones if you have other FRS, even GMRS radios, and that's a lot in a small package.